Welcome to Out with Dan, the podcast that spotlights and examines the voices of LGBTQ+ authors, characters, and our allies. Together, we lift our voices and we tell our stories. I'm Dan White. Join me as I chat with this week's author. Hello and welcome back to Out with Dan. Today I'm beyond honored to talk to Jeffrey Archer about Endgame. Jeffrey is a novelist who sold over 300 million books. So will you give the audience an overview of what Endgame is about?
Well, it's the last of the William Warwicks. The first, of course, Nothing Ventured. William Warwick started off as a constable on the beat in the Metropolitan Police. And I was determined to take him through every rank: sergeant, inspector, chief inspector, superintendent, chief superintendent. And now in the final book, he's a commander. And I was equally keen that every book would be an individual book: drugs, murder, corruption, royal protection, whatever it might be. And in the final book, Dan, I looked at the year and noticed that Commander William Warwick was about 52, 53. And there in 2012 was the London Olympics. So I thought, I'll put you in charge of the security for the London Olympics. And I flew over to Monaco to see Sebastian Coe, who had so brilliantly run the London Olympics, and asked him if any mistakes had been made. And he said not that he was aware of, but I should speak to a Commander Bob Broadhurst, who was actually in charge of the security for the London Olympics, and indeed the exact role that my hero William Warwick was in. So I flew back to England and saw the commander, and would not have been surprised if he had said, "I'm sorry, Jeffrey, can't tell you." But it's 14 years after. So he's writing his own book. So he was only too willing to tell me. Now he said, 14 things went wrong.
Ooh.
12 were of minor consequence, but will have still hit the front pages. Example of one that actually did escape: when the North Koreans were playing Colombia in the women's football, and they played the South Korean national anthem as they walked out onto the field. And Sebco had to ring and apologize on behalf of the Olympic Committee. That was one of the 14, but that actually happened and leaked out. The other 13 didn't. And 2 of them, Dan, one of them would have closed the opening ceremony.
Wow.
It would never have happened. And one would have stopped the track events on the 3rd day, and Commander Broadhurst would have had to clear the stadium of 62,000 people. So here I was with these 14 gems to put into my book. So I added another 7 right from the figments of my own imagination. And I ask you at the end of the book to decide which ones are true and which one I invented. And that's the story of Endgame.
I absolutely loved it. So to give the audience a little idea, so the pitch for your book came to me as a podcaster, and in that it says, Jeffrey Archer is now 85 years old. And so, of course, I'm going to be honest with you, I was a little curious. Does Mr. Archer still have it? And the answer is a resounding yes. So how does that make you feel?
Well, that's a problem at several levels, because at the age of 70, when our maker says 70 years and 10, you must expect to leave at any moment, I begged him if I could write the Clifton Chronicles, 7 volumes in 7 years. And when I reached 77, I said, I know I'm pushing my luck, but I want to take a character out of the Clifton Chronicles, my hero's eponymous hero, William Warwick, and write 8 books, which means I've got to live to 84. And very kindly, here I am at 85. And I'm in the middle now of my final book. So the answer to your question is, I have made the decision that 86, which is what I will be when the book comes out, is time for an end. You have been around long enough, Dan, to know that several authors go one book too many. And they do it either for the money or because they just feel they have to do it. I have decided the last book, the one I'm writing at the moment, will be the final novel. Not least because I got the idea some 6 years ago, and it's a bigger idea than Cain and Abel. And I wondered if I could write it. And so I've spent the last 6 years doing the research and preparation for my final book. I'm on the 17th draft. It's very nearly finished. It's very nearly there. And I have to tell you, I'm praying you will think it's the best thing I've ever done.
I love that. So tell the audience, what is a writing day for Jeffrey Archer like? Do you write every day?
I get up at 5:30. I start work at 5 to 6. I work from 6 until 8. I take a 2-hour break. I can't concentrate for more than 2 hours. I work from 10 until 12. I take a 2-hour break. I have lunch, go for a walk. I'll return at 2 o'clock and work from 2 till 4, take a 2-hour break. And then the final session, 6 until 8, is looking at what I've done that day. I have a light supper, maybe watch television, the news in particular, because at the moment I'm fascinated by American news and I'm following CNN and Jack Tapper every night. I don't miss him. I think he's an amazing interviewer. And then I go to bed around 10 and I'm up again the next day at 5:30. So it's a regimented, disciplined routine. There is no easy way to become a ballet dancer. There is no easy way to play the violin. There is no easy way to be an opera singer. There is no easy way to be number one on the New York Times bestsellers list.
Absolutely. So I envision that you're a fast writer. Am I right or wrong about that?
Well, I handwrite every word. So compared with those who tap away, they would be a complete lot. But that's because of my age. And when I started writing, I began writing by hand and I haven't stopped. I'm surprised actually how many writers still do write by hand. And it's too late now. My wife says I can teach you how to use this machine, that machine, the other machine. You can talk into it. You can do. No, I write every word by hand.
I love that. I love that. And I find I've heard a lot of authors say that they feel closer to their work when they write it by hand.
Yes. I think all authors differ. All of them have their own habits. And I always say, do what suits you. I am a lark. Some people are owls. My wife can work from 10 o'clock to 12 without a second thought. I'm so exhausted, I can't stand up. So, but she just about manages to get to the breakfast table at 8 o'clock. So everyone is different, Dan, and you must do the thing that suits you, not copy someone else, least of all me.
Well, I totally agree with that. And because I think each of us come to our craft from a different perspective. So it's always encouraging to hear someone who has been in the business as long as you have give sage advice of do what works for you.
It has been a long time. You're quite right. And I consider it a privilege to see young people who want to write, to remain in touch with people who are writing. I don't hide it from them, Dan. I say it's damned hard work. And the one thing I beg them to do is, if it's a first book, don't show it to your wife or husband. They'll lie. Don't say it to a close friend. They'll lie. Give it to someone you trust and say, please give this to someone who's never heard of me and has never read me, and get them to write one page. Then you might just get the truth.
Totally agree with you on that, because I do think that we as loved ones want the best for our loved ones and our friends, and yet we're not always honest with them, because sometimes something stinks. Now, sometimes something is so fantastic you want to shout it from the rooftops, but not always.
No. And that, of course, is, dare I say it, the most wonderful experience. When I handed in Cain and Abel, I could see it by the bidding that was going on from 14 houses.
Wow.
And when Simon & Schuster got it, I could see the backup they were giving it. And then I saw it go to #1 in every country on earth. And here we are, 40 years later, it's on it in Britain. It's on its 142nd reprint. So you're quite right. When that happens, people do shout it from the rooftops. Though I was totally unprepared for that. That came as a complete shock. They kept telling me how good it was, and they gave me the legendary Corliss Smith as my editor, the man who had edited J.D. Salinger. So I knew I was in safe hands, and I knew my publisher was taking it very seriously indeed. But don't kid yourself. It's the public who decide. And I was as nervous as anyone when the book came out. And I was walking down Fifth Avenue on the day the book came out. And Barnes & Noble, which you know almost takes up a block, there was only one book in the window. And I thought, wow, they believe it as well.
Yes. And you know you can cash the check and it won't bounce. Yes. So you do a lot of cat and mouse type characters. What about the cat and mouse scenario is something that you like to put your teeth into?
Well, characters are wonderful. They once did a survey on me where they sent my book to 100 people, and without a name on it, without a name on the cover. And they asked the people, what do you like most about this particular writer? And when they came to see me with the results, I said, well, of course, storytelling will be top. It wasn't, Dan. Oh. It was second. You know, they do these clouds, and then they put the clouds about which they think is the most important aspect of your writing. And as I say, I thought storytelling would be top. No, character. They loved the characters in the book. They got involved with the people in the book. So they got involved with William Warwick. They got involved with the Cliftons. And for a moment, I was shocked, but then, frankly, very, very pleased, because if you don't care for the characters in the book, you'll put the book down.
Yes, we do. Absolutely. Yeah. And as I was telling you before we started recording, I'm very lucky that I've been able to read the cream of the cream, and I've read some that are not the cream of the cream. And we, the reader, do know the difference. That's for sure.
It's a cruel thing to say to any writer, but the sad truth is the public will decide. You don't become a serial bestseller by mistake. It is the public. And what a privilege and honor, Dan, that people will spend 8 hours in my company again and again. And at my old age, I truly appreciate and am thankful that they will give me, in this age when everything is so instant and so quick, and so to give me 8 hours of their time is something for which I will be eternally grateful.
Well, as this audience member will tell you, I'm always grateful when you have a new book that comes out. And even though I've enjoyed the end game immensely, I am looking forward to the next one. So do you have a publication date?
I think it'll be about a year today, Dan.
Okay.
My senior editor at HarperCollins has already read it. And I'm now working on her notes. I think I will hand it back to her in 2 or 3 weeks' time, when I will collapse, because it's been physically and mentally a tremendous challenge. If you actually believe you've got this exciting concept and idea, can I do it? And then it starts to fall into place. That was the main reason, or one of the main reasons, that I said, I'm never going to write again. This is the last novel. I know I can't write anything as good as this again, but it will still be the public who decide.
Yes, sir. So what does Jeffrey Archer do for fun? Because when you write, you're on a very long schedule. So what do you do for fun?
I go to the theater a lot, often once a week. And I've just seen a play in London called Giant, which is coming to New York and possibly Los Angeles, which is among the best things I've seen in my life. And you're talking about a man who goes to theater once a week. I put it right up there. And the main lead, the actor John Lithgow, gives a performance as good as Olivier, as good as Gielgud. It's staggering. And he's 80 years old. I mean, it's absolutely, don't miss it. It's staggering. So the first part. The other thing I do is I'm a charity auctioneer. And I've been a charity auctioneer now for 40 years and done 1,100 charities and raised 74 million pounds, about $100 million in my lifetime. And that's my hobby. And I love my sport. So I love my football. I love my rugby. I love my cricket. I'm beyond baseball. I'm beyond American football. I try hard. And my dear friend Bill Bradley, the former senator for New Jersey, has desperately tried to hold my hand and help me through, but he's failed lamentably.
Oh, I love it. Well, once again, the book is called End Game. It is by a master storyteller and a master creator of characters, Jeffrey Archer. Thank you so much for being on my podcast, Jeffrey. I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure as always, Dan, and I look forward to coming on with the final book.
I look forward to that as well, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me for this week's episode of Out with Dan. You can find more information about this podcast and its host at OutWithDan.com, on Twitter at OutWithDan, and on Instagram and Facebook at GoOutWithDan. This podcast is hosted by Authors on the Air Global Radio Network, and the theme music is provided by bensound.com. Join us again soon for the next episode of Out with Dan.